Welcome to Movie Reedviews. I'm Cody Reed. Now this review is for Fanforstic, or Fantastic Four. It's directed by Josh Trank, and it's a reboot of that same franchise. It stars Miles Teller, Kate Mara, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Bell, as well as Toby Kebbell. So the movie's about a group of youngsters, like 18, 19-year-olds, who with the help of a company, they crack interdimensional travel. So they travel to this other dimension where they gain these abilities and it basically just changed their body. But then also they have to fight a baddie who goes by the name of Dr. Doom, who he also goes there and it changes his body, the other dimension does, but he's a baddie and so he wants to destroy the world. Except the villain in this movie is way underutilized. I'm serious, like the last fight scene is pretty much the only fight scene in this movie, and I'll get to more of that in a second. So I won't lie, the first act was pretty good, I thought, but then it just took too much time. It took up about half the movie, so it did have a lot of development, a little more than my tastes, but by the time that point happens, they finally get their powers. The second act, though, is a little boring and it goes off topic, and then by the third act, it's just way too sped up. Like, they felt like, oh, we gotta hurry this now, and the villain didn't have any development, and so it just kind of was sped up by the end, and it left you with a bad taste in your mouth. Also, I thought was underutilized was The Thing. He literally did nothing, no thing in the movie. Like, he was just boring at times, or if you did see him fight, it was pretty much through cameras, or he would do something really quick, and then it would cut away, so it seemed like he did nothing in the movie. And he could have been like the Hulk in this movie, where every scene he was in, he was just clobbering people and smashing them and beating them out of the way, but instead it was just kind of boring and he was underutilized. So there were some funny moments, and the beginning of the story was pretty good, but then the story just, like I mentioned, it goes off topic, and it starts to do that second, third act, let's blow up everything that we set up beforehand. The climax wasn't great, like there were no stakes to it, the fight was really disappointing. Literally the third act is like 15 minutes, and so, by the time they set up everything, and the movie's only an hour and 45 minutes, you're getting towards the end of the movie, and like you haven't even seen much of the villain, then they introduce him, and there's a big fight, and they go back, and everything's good. And it's like 15 minutes, and so, yeah. So the poster says change is coming, but guess what? It's still not here. We have to wait for a good Fantastic Four movie. They still can't get it right, and it is slightly better than the last ones that we had about a decade ago, but not by much. It's just less campy. And then also it says that it's from the studio that brought you X-Men Days of Future Past, which I really loved that movie last year, but it's from the studio, Fox Studios. It's not from like, oh, the director or the writer or, some of the creative team. It's basically, oh, we made X-Men Days of Future Past, we financed this, and so we're also going to finance Fantastic Four, but we didn't do a good job. And so, a long time ago, Marvel had to sell the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four to Fox Studios because they were in debt, but now Marvel's doing fine. But in order to keep those rights, Fox Studios has to make all these movies every so number of years in order to keep that, or it goes back to Marvel. So when you see Fox Studios and Marvel logos at the beginning of the movie, just know that it's Fox's movie, so blame them, and it's just basically Marvel's characters. So to wrap up, if you're on the fence, just know that this villain in this superhero movie is not worth it. He really sucks. And there's not much action, there's not much stakes, but I guess if you do like darker, more serious tones for a superhero movie, it's more on that darker, like more serious side rather than campy. So it has that going for it. So I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. I feel like that's a pretty good score for what it was. Yeah, it just got worse throughout the movie. It was even kind of short, but it needed a lot more development in the second and third acts. They could have expanded the time just a little bit. They could have developed that villain because it sucks. There was just no stakes to it, and there wasn't much action. I wish there was a lot more of that towards the last half of the movie. So there you go. Tell me your thoughts. Leave a comment below in the comment section. Make sure to like this video, please, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get updates on my other reviews. Lastly, I do have a Gmail account, moviereedviews@gmail.com. Feel free to send me in some questions there. Thanks so much for watching this Movie Reedview. What's the deal with the Fantastic Four? I mean, really, there are 4 of them, but they aren't fantastic. Why don't you just call them the frickin' Terrible Four, because they're terrible. I'll just give this movie 4, yeah, get it? 4 out of 10 jokes.